Hello everybody, it's Elizabeth here, and every time I do a live video I feel like I am wearing warmer and warmer clothes, so forgive me for being so wrapped up today. It's very cold here in the UK. We've had snow, we still have a small scattering of snow on the ground. Right, what I wanted to talk about today was a couple of questions that came in as a result of our Mastering Multiple Projects webinar. So you might remember that last week I did a webinar on the 3 critical skills for managing multiple projects, which you can watch the replay of here on the Facebook page. It's also in the on the YouTube channel, and you can find it on I know it's probably in the wrong place, this page here below. So you can watch the replay on that if you're particularly interested. But as people were signing up for that and finding out more about what it was going to be about and how it might help them and how the course Mastering Multiple Projects might help, they were asking questions because so many of us have to juggle managing multiple projects. So today I wanted to pick out a couple of the questions that I didn't get time to answer on the webinar that came in on email. One for Noel and one for Kim. So these are the kind of things that we will be talking about in our group coaching calls within the Mastering Multiple Projects course. So what we're doing there is we've got 5 calls. People can come along, they can share their questions in real time. It's a Zoom meeting really, and we'll all chat about the different kinds of solutions that we have to that challenge. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a flavour of the kind of conversation that it might go, although this is a bit one-sided because it's just me talking at the camera, and I can hopefully see there is people watching. I can see Azam has given us a thumbs up. Thank you very much. So we've got some, in a Zoom meeting, in a coaching call, it would be very much more interactive. But this is the kind of question that we might find ourselves talking about inside the calls for the coaching. So the first question is, if I make my screen a little bit smaller on this end, I can see Noel says, one of the biggest struggles is managing email. What's the best way to organise email items that relate to the project, including setting up reminder tasks with deadlines? Okay, so the way I've done it, and I'm not saying this is the pinnacle of email tidying, but it works for my brain. So I think the most important thing is to find an approach that works for your brain. And the way that I do it, because I like lists, is I have an overarching email folder per project, an archive folder because I don't want it in my inbox because that keeps too much space. So I create an archive folder, which is in Outlook, a .pst folder stored on the network drive, and then I can use that for my email filing. What I will then do is to, create subfolders within that folder for various aspects of the project. So anything that I need to keep, or decisions, or themes. Generally, it's around themes. So I would say things like I'll have a folder for emails relating to finance and invoicing, purchase orders and stuff like that. I'll have an email relating to my sponsor and steering group. So all the important people's emails go in that one. Then I'll have an email per work stream. So there might be something for marketing, there might be something for clinical, there might be something for various different other types of things. And if there's a particular part of our project that warrants a lot of emails, so we might be discussing requirements, for example, I might create a folder for that as well. My other tip is do not store attachments in your emails. So if somebody sends you an email and it says, here's the latest copy of the project charter or whatever document, save the attachment to your network drive in the right appropriate folder with a sensible naming convention so you can find it again, and then come back and then delete the email. You don't need to keep every email. The more you can delete, the better it is. And you can also, in Outlook anyway, drag and drop emails into your network folders. So if it's something that you feel needs to be maintained for posterity or maintained so other people in the organization can look at it and it's out of your inbox, then you can do that by saving the email itself down to the network drive. So try to streamline your emails by including less, really. So anything that's an attachment gets saved off, and anything that can be deleted does, especially if you have a long email chain. We tend to stop at 5. If it's 5 emails backwards and forwards, then it's too much. You shouldn't, we have to have a conversation about that. But if you've got conversation backwards and forwards, you don't need to keep every part of the thread, because often the bit at the bottom is the history. So you just have to keep the last email in the sequence. So you can get rid of those as well. So save them to a drive, set your naming conventions so they make sense to you and you can find things again. And then Noel also asked about reminder tasks with deadlines. I do this by setting up tasks for myself in my diary and then setting an alert that will alert me the week before or however many days before to say that it's coming up. So I can be a little bit more on top of those messages. So I can set myself tasks. They don't have to be tasks that take up time in your diary, because Outlook allows you to set tasks either for the whole day, and it doesn't have to, it can be time that's not blocked out. So you can have in Outlook anyway, a block time, tentative time, and then not block time, but you're just marking that something is happening. So you can have those. And then you can flag emails as well and give them categories. So one of the things that I like to do is categorize my emails by color, so I can quickly scan down and see what relates to what. I also tend to use my inbox really as my to-do list. So if it's got more than 100 emails, I start to get nervous. but I flag, the challenge for me there was when I was doing a lot more traveling, I would be responding to emails while I was outside on the go, or my BlackBerry, in the olden days when we had BlackBerries, or we moved to Windows phones eventually. So I'd be responding to those, but I would then find myself having an email in my inbox that I did not need to read again. And the way I got around that was I flagged it. So when I got back to the office, I could filter my inbox based on flag. All the flagged emails would pop at the top, and then I could just drag and drop them into the right folders, and they were gone. So that is a good tip for trying to just mass organize your diary. So categorizing emails is also good. We did that a lot when we had shared inboxes. So for example, with some of the projects where we set up a support inbox for people who needed to get in touch with us about, project related things, we had one inbox with a project email address, but 4 or 5 of us had access to it. And the person who got there first would color code the emails so that you already knew, so everybody else knew that someone had already responded to that one and they had taken and claimed ownership of dealing with that particular question. So that was helpful too. So blocking time in your diary to create the alerts is probably the most helpful tip I've got for Noel there around organizing your inbox for reminder tasks with deadlines. The other thing you can do is schedule emails. So you can schedule your emails to go out in advance. You can write it and then say, do not send before, set a time. And then when that time comes, email will just magically disappear from your inbox. So if you want to chase people up about work and you're confident that you can write that email in advance and they're not going to turn the work in and then be chased afterwards, you can set up emails in advance to go. You can draft them in advance if you liked, and then set yourself an alert that said, now send the emails. So there's different ways that you could get around that by trying to use all the features in your software. If you use Gmail, which is not a product I use very often, I'm sure there are very similar functionalities. So just see what you can find on YouTube. See if you can Google something like Gmail hacks and then see if that gives you some tips and tricks about how to organize, file, flag, categorize, color code, all of the different things to make it easier for you to create inboxes. Okay, our next question came from Kim, who said, what has been a challenge for me when managing multiple projects is being proactive. It's a struggle since most of my time is usually spent completing project documentation and trying to stay on top of the meeting project deadlines. Very true. It is very hard to be proactive when you are deep in the detail of doing the work. So for that, I wanted to throw up a few points. But the first thing, I suppose, is the mindset change of you cannot be proactive if you are deep in the detail. that's just reality. If you cannot lift yourself out of the detail to be able to think forward, it really limits your ability to act in a proactive way. So I would encourage you to take 30 minutes a week. Start small, that's all you need, to do some horizon scanning, to free your brain from thinking about what's next on the to-do list, and just to look forward at what is coming, what can I do to make my life easier next week, what do I need to book, organize, who do I need to talk to, try and get yourself sorted so that you can be proactive, and just start small with 30 minutes so it's not taking too much time out of your busyness of doing the work. The other thing you can do is to use alerts, like we talked about with Noel's question, and calendar preparation to remind yourself of what's coming up. So I would, for example, put an alert in my diary. So I'm booking myself a task that's not blocking out any time in my calendar, but it's an all-day task, keep time, show time is available type setting in the calendar. And I would create that to say, send out agenda. So then 4 days before that, I would set the alert, and then I'd log in the morning and it would alert myself to say, oh, in 4 days I have to send out an agenda. Oh, okay. In that case, I need to be writing the agenda. To take that to the next level, you can look at recurring tasks and sorting out blocking time to do the work in advance. So you know that there's going to be a project steering group or project board meeting every month. And if you're like me, you've probably blocked them for the whole year already because, we were in February at the time I'm recording this, but execs are busy people, and I like to start the year by blocking out the time I need in their diary for the whole year. So I've done that. And then I will be looking at putting in the sort of 10 days before time in my own diary that says organise the agenda and the papers for the board meeting. I can then set that as a recurring task to happen at the same point, or if the meetings are at different points during the month, I'm manually putting them in, so that when that comes up in my diary, I can go, oh yeah, okay, that's to make sure that I can be proactive. I'm not creating my agenda for my board meeting the night before and running around like a headless chicken trying to find all the papers that I need. I'm creating it, I'm managing it, and it's fine. I'm on top of that. So the more you can do with recurring tasks, setting your alerts to not alert you 15 minutes before a meeting. Outlook defaults to 15 minutes, which is kind of all right if you just need to wrap up something and get to your next meeting, but not all right if you need to be preparing things and sending out papers in advance. So think about what setting you want to set for those alerts, and that will help you be proactive because you're already looking ahead. And when you book a meeting, you're also booking the prep time that needs to happen beforehand. Now, I'm using the example of a meeting here repetitively, but it could be for anything. It could be for project celebration. 3 months before the end of your project, you're booking a slot that says book a project celebration meeting. You could be looking at, you've created your project schedule and there are some key milestones in there. You could book time at the last working day of every month to create project board reports, project status reports. There's lots of things that we do as project managers that are very repetitive, and you can help yourself be a little bit more proactive by making it easy for yourself. Use your calendar to stick all of that stuff in there so that you've already got the time allocated, you've already got the work, and when you open it up, it's just, okay, I know what to do today. It's my project reporting day. My calendar is already booked out to tell me that is the case, and that's helping. However, for some of the stuff that you can't plan, like being proactive about building customer relationships, being proactive about identifying risks, you really do have to make the time. And what I'd suggest you do is talk less in your team meeting. That's easy for me to say, I know, but use some of your team meetings, your regular project status reports, status sessions, whether that's a weekly team meeting, whether that's a daily stand-up. Maybe pick one daily stand-up per fortnight and talk about horizon scanning. Maybe pick 20 minutes every other week in your weekly call, and use that to talk about what's coming up, the proactive stuff. And just ask the question, what could we be doing now to make our lives easier next week? What could we be doing now to make our lives easier later? And people will sort of go, oh, nothing, But actually, if they think about it for more than 10 seconds, they will come up with things that will help them be better at doing their work. And that might be a process change. It might be engaging a particular department now instead of leaving it to the last minute, because last time you left it to the last minute and they weren't ready. Whatever it is, you can start to reach out to people. And in fact, that point about reaching out to different departments is probably a really important one. It is a really important one because if people know what's coming, they can be much more prepared for it and less likely to let you down when it comes to scheduling their work. So do think about how you can engage other people. The simplest way I found to do that is to start copying them in on weekly project reports. They might not always read them, but they know then that project is happening and they have no excuse about not knowing that it's getting closer to their contribution. So it could just be something really easy like that costs you no extra time apart from typing in someone's email address into the mailing list that receives your weekly report. Okay, that is the questions for Noel, questions for Kim, and both of these topics are things I could probably do 1 hour webinars on, but those are my kind of brief overview topics with some key pointers of things that you can take away to hopefully put into practice to help with the juggling of multiple projects. And like I said at the beginning of this video, this is the kind of thing that people will be bringing to our group coaching calls. So if you have particular challenges or struggles with your own environment, we can have an ongoing or across 5 weeks conversation about the situation you're in. I can help you get unstuck. We can do some quick tips and we can be much more tailored and conversational about the kind of things that are happening in your organization, with your team, with your workload, so that we can really make a difference to the way that you work and hopefully free up some of your time so you can be more proactive and you can get the best out of the tools that you use. So if you want to be in on those group coaching calls, you can join me at girlsguidetopm.com/MMP, which is the Mastering Multiple Projects course. click the VIP option, and that's the one with the coaching calls, and you'll get sent all the information, all the dates, and the Zoom links. And I look forward to chatting to you. All right. Well, have a fantastic weekend. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye.